Heard the news? Kevin Stefanski just put a stake in the sand. Shedeur Sanders will start again next Sunday. On paper, it looks like a small line in a press conference. In reality, it's a choice that tells you how this season ends, whether the Browns quietly run out the clock or whether they use the last 5 games to actually find out what they have. Sanders' second start didn't answer many questions. The box score reads tidy enough: 16 of 25, 149 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers. But the tape and the flow tell a different story. The Browns managed 251 total yards on a blustery day against a disciplined 49ers defense. They scored before halftime, then managed 60 yards across 5 second-half possessions. 3 sacks, a botched 4th-and-1 Wildcat snap, a muffed punt that turned into points. Those aren't quarterback-only problems. They're organizational ones. Still, Stefanski's decision to keep Sanders in the saddle says he wants answers from the player, not just to preserve the status quo. Let's be honest, there's a logic to that. The team is 3-2-9. Dillon Gabriel is healthy but unproven as the long-term answer. Sanders, despite being a 5th-round pick, has had flashes. He steered Cleveland to a win in Las Vegas last week, handled the chaos of a debut in the pros, and carried the kind of calm that makes coaches nod. If you're building, not rebuilding, you give the rookie a string of starts, tough environment, real defenses, real pressure, and you watch what forms. But what did we actually see Sunday that makes Stefanski confident enough to say yes to the next start? First, pocket presence. Sanders didn't panic in the pocket. He stood in, he made reads, and when the 49ers crowded lanes, he still found the deep sideline throw that became his touchdown. That's the kind of play scouts love: pocket touch, timing, and the willingness to take that downfield risk. Second, decision-making. No costly interceptions, limited risky throws. Against a team like San Francisco, that's a small win in itself. Third, temperament. After a week that included off-field headlines and the glare of a first start, he didn't implode. That steadiness matters. Now the counterpoints, because context kills hype. Sanders was clobbered 3 times and took a 4th-and-16 sack late. A reminder that NFL speed will find gaps in a rookie's instincts. The offense cratered after halftime. The turnovers that ended any realistic comeback weren't Sanders' throws, but they happened under his watch. And the offense, as constructed, didn't give him every tool you'd want to run a consistent, clean day in snow-slashed-wind. The run game couldn't sustain drives. Special teams gifted the opponent momentum. Play calling often left him needing to manufacture instead of execute. That combination is why starting him again is a decision weighted with trade-offs. On one hand, you either keep bouncing vets and bandages and never actually know what you have in a rookie. On the other, you give a prospect a look, and if he flounders, you've possibly cost the team a marginal win or two. Stefanski's choice signals an organizational posture. We're evaluating the future with our hands on the calendar. They're choosing clarity over safety. So what should Sanders and the Browns do next week against the Titans, a softer matchup on paper, to actually create that clarity? First, script the early part of the game. Give him 10 plays that are high percentage, timing-based throws and designed quick reads. Let him build pocket comfort. Second, tighten the protection packages and simplify pre-snap checks. Young QBs live and die by the half second. Reduce mental load, increase physical window. Third, clean the special teams and short yardage scripts because those mistakes are season killers for evaluation. Fourth, target manageable deep looks, the kind that put your speed receivers in one-on-one space, while leaning on a run that buys rhythm instead of stalling drives. From a developmental lens, Sanders is at the exact place a lot of young QBs live or die. He's flashed enough to keep the conversation alive, but he hasn't yet demonstrated the force of will that turns a rookie window into a starter's job. You want to see progressive improvement game to game. Quicker reads, better awareness of rush lanes, fewer sacks, a better third-quarter footprint. If those improvements show up in the next 2 games, the Browns have a real decision to make in January. If they don't, the evaluation quickly becomes a resume for what went wrong. There's also the intangible, the headline-driven circus that has followed Sanders since his college days. He's had famous bloodlines, an FBI of media interest, and, as you'll recall, the terrible wrench of a home burglary during his very first NFL appearance. That kind of chaos is a crucible. Some players melt, some refine. Stefanski is betting Sanders belongs to the second category. Coaches often say the only way to know is to see a player in a sequence of real games. That's exactly what the Browns are doing. Let's not ignore the organizational optics. Naming a rookie starter while the veteran backup is healthy is also a message to the locker room. It says the staff is willing to let performance define roles, not tenure. That can be a positive for young players and for a culture that needs urgency. It also creates clarity for the roster. Players know who's running this week, they can prepare, and the team can stop playing substitution chess in the huddle. What about long term? If Sanders shows steady growth, the Browns have an option they didn't budget for at the season's start. A cheap, controllable QB whose ceiling might be higher than perceived. If he fails to show consistent growth, the Browns will still have Gabriel, who's had exposure and would be the more known entity going forward. Either way, a clean evaluation now simplifies 2026's offseason. You either preemptively build around an emerging QB, or you plan to augment via free agency or draft. So where does this leave us? Stefanski's decision is small in words and large in consequence. For a team that's already out of contention, it's the right kind of risk. Choose truth over shelter. The Browns will not be judged on a single start. They'll be judged on the arc, whether these next starts produce a clearer answer about who to bet on in 2026. Here's what matters emotionally at the end of the day. Fans want hope, patience, and truth in measured amounts. They want the team to be honest with itself about whether it's building or limping. Naming Sanders to start isn't a dramatic proclamation that he's the future. It's an acknowledgement that the future is the only useful thing left to evaluate this season. And if you want the clearest sentence about what's coming, here it is. The Browns are done auditioning in parts. They're going to see the movie to the end to find out which actor holds the lead. Browns' Kevin Stefanski announces Shedeur Sanders' move after loss to 49ers. Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns couldn't get it done in Week 13, falling to 3-9 on the 2025 NFL season after a 26-8 loss to Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday afternoon. Now, Kevin Stefanski's team will look to avoid a losing streak, hosting 2025 number 1 overall pick Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans in Week 14. After missing Cleveland's first 9 games of the season, Sanders made his NFL debut in Week 11's loss to the Ravens after fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel exited with a concussion. He earned his first start and first win in Week 12 against the Raiders. And while the Browns fell to the 49ers this week, Sanders looked solid, completing 16 of 25 passes for 149 yards and a touchdown. While Gabriel returned to practice as a full participant ahead of the San Francisco matchup, Stefanski still went with Sanders as his Week 13 starter. And after the game, when asked about Sanders' performance against the 49ers, Stefanski noted that the rookie quarterback continues to battle. "Yeah, I'd have to look at it," Stefanski said. "Obviously, he's battling like all of our guys are battling. I know there's plays he wants back, but we'll look at it. We'll correct it." Then the Browns coach was asked whether Sanders would remain the starter in Week 14 against the Titans, and Stefanski answered with a firm yes. Shedeur Sanders completed 16 of 25 for 149 yards, TD in 26-8 loss to 49ers. Browns HC Kevin Stefanski confirmed Shedeur will start next week. Didn't confirm beyond, Yahoo Sports' Jory Epstein wrote on X. Sanders and the Browns will host Ward and the Titans on Sunday, December 7 at 1 p.m. ET.